Hello, dear friends, and welcome to our channel. Today, we have a special video dedicated to creating a text editor for Windows using C# and WinUI. We will break down each part of the code and step by step, build a functional application for text editing, add file saving capabilities, tab management, and even a text search and replace feature. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to stay updated on new tutorials and valuable educational content. So, let's get started. This XAML code describes the layout and structure of the UI elements and their purpose. Menu bar. A top-level menu bar containing menu items for file operations and editing. It is placed in the first row and the first column of a grid. Height is set to auto to adjust to the content. Text box. A text input field used for searching. It is placed in the first row and the second column of a grid. Width is set to 150 pixels, and a placeholder text is provided. The text changed, got focus, and lost focus events are bound to specific event handlers. Button. A button with a font icon for font settings. It is placed in the first row and the third column of a grid. Width and height are set to 45 pixels. The click event is bound to an event handler. Tab view. A tabbed view control, used for managing multiple documents or tabs. It spans across the second and third columns of the grid. Event handlers are specified for various tab-related events. Rich edit box. A control for rich text editing. It spans across the second and third columns of the grid in the third row. It has properties like margins and alignment set. Content dialog, font settings. A pop-up dialog for configuring font settings. It contains a slider for font size, combo box for font color, and combo box for font family. Event handlers are specified for value changes and selection changes. Content dialog, replace dialog. A pop-up dialog for replacing text. It contains two text box controls for search text and replacement text. Each of these UI elements is defined with specific properties such as name, grid row, grid column, width, height, and event handlers, click, value changed, selection changed. These properties define the appearance and behavior of the UI elements within the layout grid. Now let's move on to the description of the C# code. Variables. Current file stores the currently opened file. Is file modified? A flag indicating whether the file has been modified. Text list, a list of strings for each tab in the tab view. Tab selected index, the index of the selected tab. Is tab items changed? A flag indicating changes in items within the tab view. Constructor of the main window class. Initializes the window components. Sets the title bar extension to true. Sets a custom title bar. Event handlers. Open file click, opens a RTF file and loads its content into a rich edit box. This code represents an event handler for the open file button click in your application. Let's break down its functionality. File openPicker equals new file openPicker. Here, an instance of the file openPicker object is created, which allows the user to choose files from the system. OpenPicker file type filter, add RTF. A filter is set to select files with the RTF extension. In other words, the user can only choose files with this extension. OpenPicker suggested start location equals picker location ID documents library. The preferred starting location for file selection is set, in this case, the documents library. var hwnd equals winrt interop.windownative.get window handle. Here, a window handle of the current application is obtained using winrt. This will be used to associate with the file selection window. WinRT interop.initialize with window initialize. The OpenPicker object is initialized with the obtained window handle. This allows opening the file selection window associated with your application. Current file equals await OpenPicker pick single file async. The file selection window is opened, and the user can choose a file to open. The selected file will be stored in the current file variable. If current file is not null, it checks whether a file has been chosen. If a file has been selected, not equal to null, the code continues execution. Windows storage, streams.i random access stream equals await current file open async. Here, the selected file is opened in read mode, and an irandom access stream object is created, representing a data stream from the file. Editor document.load from stream, the content of the selected file, formatted in RTF, rich text format, is loaded into the editor document. This allows displaying the file's content in a text editor or the editor element. This code provides the functionality to open a RTF file and load its content into your text editor or the editor element. Save file click, saves the current file. This code is an event handler for the save file action in your application. Let's break down its functionality. Private async void save file click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the Save File button in your application. It checks whether there is a currently open file. Current file is not null, meaning that there's content to be saved. var stream equals await current file open async. It opens the currently selected file in read-write mode using an irandom access stream object. This allows you to write data to the file. Editor document.save to stream, Microsoft.ui, text.textGetOptions.format RTF, stream, the content of the editor is saved to the stream in the RTF, rich text format. This effectively updates the file with the contents of the text editor. Await stream flush async. This line ensures that any buffered data is written to the file immediately. It's important for data integrity. isFileModified equals false. This line sets the isFileModified flag to false, indicating that the file is now saved and up to date, and no changes have been made since the last save. Save file as click, saves the file with a selected name. This code is an event handler for the save file as action in your application. It allows the user to save the current content to a new file with a chosen name. Let's break down its functionality. Async void save file as click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the Save File As button in your application. File save picker equals new file save picker. An instance of file save picker is created, which allows the user to select the location and name for the file they want to save. Save picker file type choices add. A file type choice is added to the save picker. In this case, it's set to text file with the RTF file extension. This specifies that the user can save the file as an RTF document. Save picker suggested file name equals new document. A default suggested file name, new document, is set in case the user doesn't specify a name. var hwnd equals winrt interop.windownative.get window handle. The window handle of your application is obtained using winrt. This is used to associate the file save picker with your application's window. WinRT interop.initialize with window initialize. The save picker object is initialized with the obtained window handle. This ensures that the file save dialog is associated with your application's window. Current file equals await save picker pick save file async. The file save dialog is displayed, and the user can choose a location and name for the new file. The selected file is then stored in the current file variable. If current file is not null, it checks if a file has been selected. If a file has been selected, it calls the save file click event handler to save the content to the new file. Undo click undoes the last action in the rich edit box. This code represents an event handler for the undo action in your application. It allows the user to undo their previous editing actions in the text editor. Private void undo click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the undo button in your application. If editor document.can undo, it checks if the text editor's document supports the undo operation by calling the can undo method. This method returns true if there are actions that can be undone. Editor document undo. If the document can be undone, the undo method is called on the editor document object. This reverses the most recent editing action, effectively undoing the user's last change in the text. Cut click, copy click, paste click, delete click perform respective operations on the selected text in the rich edit box. These code snippets represent event handlers for various text manipulation actions in your application. Let's describe each of them. Private void cut click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the cut button in your application. It cuts the currently selected text from the text editor. Editor document selection cut. It calls the cut method on the selection property of the editor document object. This effectively removes the selected text from the editor and copies it to the clipboard. Private void copy click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the copy button in your application. It copies the currently selected text to the clipboard without removing it from the text editor. Editor document selection copy. It calls the copy method on the selection property of the editor document object. This copies the selected text to the clipboard without affecting the text in the editor. Private void paste click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the paste button in your application. It pastes the text from the clipboard into the text editor at the current selection. Editor document selection paste. It calls the paste method on the selection property of the editor document object. The 0 argument indicates that the clipboard content should be pasted without formatting changes. Private void delete click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the delete button in your application. It deletes the currently selected text from the text editor. Editor document selection delete. It calls the delete method on the selection property of the editor document object. Replace click opens a text replacement dialog and performs text replacement in the rich edit box. This code represents an event handler for the replace action in your application. It allows the user to find and replace text within the text editor. Let's break down its functionality. Private async void replace click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the replace button in your application. Await replace dialog show async. It displays a dialog box for finding and replacing text. The await keyword ensures that the dialog is shown asynchronously, allowing the user to interact with it. String rich edit box text. This line declares a string variable named rich edit box text to hold the content of the text editor. Editor document.getText. It retrieves the text content of the editor control in RTF, rich text format, and stores it in the rich edit box text variable. Rich edit box text equals rich edit box text replace text. Here, it performs the text replacement operation. It searches for the text specified in the replace text box search input and replaces it with the text from the replace text box replacement input in the rich edit box text string. Editor document.setText. Finally, the modified rich edit box text is set back into the editor control, effectively replacing the original text with the updated content. Select all click selects all text in the rich edit box. Private void select all click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the select all button in your application. String text. This line declares a string variable named text to store the content of the text editor. Editor document.getText. It retrieves the text content of the editor control in RTF, rich text format, and stores it in the text variable. Editor focus. This line focuses on the editor control using focus state pointer. It ensures that the text editor receives input focus, making it ready for further interaction. Editor document selection.setRange. Here, it sets the selection range within the text editor. The setRange method is used to select the entire length of the text content, from the start, 0, to the end, text length. It retrieves the text content, focuses on the editor, and then selects the entire text, making it ready for further actions like copying or deleting the selected content. Insert Date Time click inserts the current date and time into the rich edit box. Font Settings click opens a Font Settings dialog. Font Size Slider Value Changed changes the font size in the rich edit box. Private Async Void Font Settings click. This method is triggered when the user clicks the Font Settings button in your application. It opens a Font Settings dialog for the user to customize the text formatting. Await Font Settings Show Async. This line displays the font settings dialog asynchronously, allowing the user to configure font-related options. Private Void Font Size Slider Value Changed. This method is triggered when the user adjusts the font size using a slider control in your application. It updates the font size of the text in the text editor. Editor font size equals e.new value. It sets the font size of the text in the editor control to the new value selected by the user in the font size slider. Font Color Combo Box Selection Changed changes the text color in the rich edit box based on the selected item in the combo box. It allows the user to change the color of the text. Switch Font Color Combo Box Selected Index. It uses a switch statement to handle different cases based on the selected index in the combo box. Font Family Combo Box Selection Changed changes the font family in the rich edit box based on the selected item in the combo box. This method is triggered when the user selects a different option from the Font Family combo box in your application. Switch Font Family Combo Box Selected Index. Similar to the previous method, it uses a switch statement to handle different cases based on the selected index in the combo box. Case 0. When the first item is selected, it sets the font family of the editor control to Arial. Case 1. When the second item is selected, it sets the font family to Times New Roman. Case 2. When the third item is selected, it sets the font family to Verdana. Exit click closes the application. Private Void Tab View Loaded. This method is triggered when the tab view is loaded or initialized. Sender as tab view tabitems, add create new tab. It adds the first tab item to the tab view by calling the create new tab function with an initial index of 0. This sets up the initial tab in your application. Text list add. An empty string is added to the text list. Private Void Tab View Add Button click. This method is triggered when the user clicks a button to add a new tab. Text list add. Another empty string is added to the text list, indicating that a new tab is being created. Sender tabitems. Add create new tab sender.tabitems count. It adds a new tab item to the tab view by calling the create new tab function. The sender tabitems count is used to generate a unique index for the new tab, ensuring that each tab is numbered sequentially. Private Void Tab View Tab Close Requested. This method is triggered when the user requests to close a tab, typically by clicking a close button associated with the tab. Is tab items changed equals true, it sets a flag to indicate that tab items are being changed. Sender tabitems remove args tab. It removes the selected tab item from the tab view based on the request provided in args. This action effectively closes the tab. Create new tab creates a new tab in the tab view with a document title and icon. Tab view item new item equals new tab view item. This line creates a new instance of the tab view item class, which is used to represent a single tab in your application's user interface. New item header equals document index. It sets the header property of the new item. The header typically represents the label or title of the tab. In this case, it assigns a header text that includes the provided index. For example, if index is 0, the header would be document 0. This line sets the icon source property of the new item. It associates an icon with the tab using the symbol icon source class. In this case, it assigns the document symbol as the icon for the tab. Return new item. Finally, the method returns the configured tab view item object, which can be added to your tab view control to create a new tab with the specified header text and icon. Tab view selection changed. Handler for changing the selected tab in tab view. If tab selected index text list count 1 return, this condition checks if the tab selected index variable exceeds the number of tabs stored in the text list. If this is the case, it returns early, indicating that there is no valid tab to switch to. Inside the first block, the code does the following. String text declares a string variable named text to store the content of the text editor. Editor document.getText retrieves the text content of the editor control in RTF format and stores it in the text variable. Text list, tab selected index, equals text, updates the content of the currently selected tab, based on tab selected index, in the text list with the text from the editor. This is done to save the current state of the text. Tab selected index equals tab view selected index, updates the tab selected index to match the index of the newly selected tab in the tab view. In the second block, the code checks if the newly selected tab is valid. If tab view selected index -1 and text list count 0 and isTab items changed equals false, this condition ensures that a valid tab is selected. Tab view selected index -1, there are items in the text list to retrieve content from, and no tab items have changed, isTab items changed equals false. Editor document.setText, if the conditions are met, it sets the text of the editor control to the content of the newly selected tab from the text list. This action restores the saved content of the tab when it was last active. Tab view tab items changed, handler for changes in items within tab view. If isTab items changed equals true and text list count 0, this condition checks if the isTab items changed flag is set to true, indicating that tab items have been modified, example, added or removed, and if there are items in the text list. Inside the condition, the code performs the following actions. If sender selected index args index tab selected index minus, this checks if the index of the currently selected tab, sender selected index, is greater than the index provided in the args parameter, args index. If it is, it decrements the tab selected index. This adjustment is likely done to ensure that tab selected index remains consistent with the selected tab even if tabs are removed before the selected one. Text list remove at args index, it removes an item from the text list at the index specified in the args parameter. This is done to synchronize the text list with the current state of the tabs. isTab items changed equals false. Finally, it sets the isTab items changed flag to false, indicating that tab items have been processed and are in sync with the state of the tab view. Methods searchbox highlight matches and searchbox remove highlights. Searchbox highlight matches highlights all matches in the text in the rich edit box that match the string entered in searchbox. Searchbox remove highlights, the method starts by calling another method, searchbox remove highlights, which likely clears any previous text highlighting in the editor. Color highlight background color equals app current resources, it retrieves the highlight background color from the application's resources. This color is used to set the background of matched text. Color highlight foreground color equals app current resources, similarly, it retrieves the highlight text color from the application's resources. This color is used to set the text color of matched text. String text defined equals searchbox text, it retrieves the text entered into the searchbox control, which represents the search query. String text str declares a string variable to store the text content of the editor control. If text defined not null, this condition checks if there is a valid search query, text defined, entered in the search box. Inside the condition, the code performs the following actions. Editor document.getText, it retrieves the text content of the editor control in RTF format and stores it in the text str variable. Int myRichEditLength equals text str length, it calculates the length of the text in the editor. Editor document selection.setRange sets the selection range in the editor to cover the entire text. A while loop is used to search for occurrences of the text defined within the selected text. Editor document selection.findText 0, this condition checks if there is a match for text defined within the selected text. If a match is found, the findText method returns a positive value. Inside the loop, the code sets the background and foreground colors of the matched text to the highlight colors obtained earlier. This effectively highlights the matching text. By executing this method, you can highlight all occurrences of a search query within the text content displayed in the editor. It provides a visual indication of where the matching text is located, making it easier for the user to identify and navigate through search results. Searchbox remove highlights removes highlights from all matches in the text in the rich edit box. This code defines a method named searchbox remove highlights that is responsible for removing text highlights within a rich edit control. This method is typically called to clear any previous highlighting before applying new highlights or when resetting the highlighting state. Let's break down its functionality. String text str declares a string variable to store the text content of the editor control. Editor document.getText retrieves the text content of the editor control in RTF format and stores it in the text str variable. This allows the method to work with the full text content. Editor document selection.setRange sets the selection range in the editor to cover the entire text by specifying a range from the beginning, index 0, to the end, the length of the text. Solid color brush default background equals editor background as solid color brush retrieves the default background color of the editor control and stores it in a solid color brush variable named default background. This color represents the background color of unhighlighted text. Solid color brush default foreground equals editor foreground as solid color brush. Similarly, it retrieves the default foreground text color of the editor control and stores it in a solid color brush variable named default foreground. This color represents the default text color of unhighlighted text. Editor document selection.characterFormat.background color equals default background color sets the background color of the selected text range to the default background color. This effectively removes any existing background highlighting. Editor document selection.characterFormat.foreground color equals default foreground color sets the foreground text color of the selected text range to the default foreground color. This ensures that the text appearance returns to its original state without highlighting. By executing this method, you can clear any previous text highlighting in the editor control, making the text appear in its default colors. And there we have it, we've completed the creation of our text editor on the Windows platform using C# and WinUI. I hope this tutorial has been useful and engaging for you. If you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. We always appreciate your feedback and are ready to assist. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with your friends. See you in the next tutorial.